Hey there, I'm Emily Mielstein with the Gulf of Mexico Fishery Management Council, and this is a public hearing video designed to collect comments on Framework Amendment 7 to the Coastal Migratory Pelagic Management Plan, which considers modifying the Cobia minimum size limit and possession limits. The Gulf of Mexico Fishery Management Council and the South Atlantic Fishery Management Council share management of cobia. The Gulf Migratory Group of cobia actually wraps all the way around the state of Florida up to the Florida-Georgia line. However, the South Atlantic Council does manage that portion of the Gulf Migratory Group that's found within their federal waters. So this document only addresses the portion of the Gulf Migratory Group of cobia that's in the Gulf federal waters. So the most recent stock assessment for cobia was completed in 2013, and that assessment found that cobia is neither overfished nor experiencing overfishing. And you can see the harvest limits that resulted from that assessment. And right now, the annual catch target that we're using is about 1.5 million pounds for cobia. Now the next assessment for cobia is not scheduled until 2019. You may be wondering why we're here. Anglers in the Gulf have actually come and told the Gulf Council that they seem to think that there is a decrease in abundance in cobia in the Gulf. Now this table shows landings of cobia in recent years, and you'll notice that from the years 2012 through 2016, cobia landings remained relatively stable. However, there was a drop in landings of about 22.5% for 2017. So the Council is considering ways to reduce fishing mortality for cobia, and it's looking at modifying the minimum size limit and also modifying the possession limit. So Action 1 considers modifying the minimum size limit for cobia. Cobia are currently managed with a 33-inch fork length minimum size limit for both the commercial and recreational sectors. Unfortunately, the size and age at maturity data that we have are insufficient to provide any sort of concrete management advice. It is important to note that female cobia are typically larger at age than males, and that those larger fish tend to contribute more to the reproductive capabilities of the stocks. So again, the Council is considering reducing fishing mortality, and increasing the minimum size limit would be one mechanism to do that. Just to lend you a little bit of perspective, this graph shows the size distribution of cobia that are harvested in the Gulf, and this red line signifies that 33-inch minimum size limit that we currently have in place. So we're considering 4 different alternatives here. The first alternative is the no action alternative, and that would leave the 33-inch minimum size limit in place. The second alternative, which is the Council's current preferred, would set a 36-inch minimum size limit. The third alternative considers a 39-inch minimum size limit, and the fourth alternative considers a 42-inch minimum size limit. So we'll move to Action 2, which considers modifying the possession limit for cobia. So right now, the cobia possession limit is 2 fish per person for both commercial and recreational fishing. There is no vessel limit for cobia currently, and it's important to note that we do have a year-round fishing season. Since the Council is looking at ways to reduce fishing mortality on cobia, modifying that possession limit could reduce the overall mortality of the stock. It is important to note that a relatively small number of cobia die once they're caught and released. It's about 5%. This graph shows the number of cobia harvested per angler per trip, and this one shows the number of cobia harvested per vessel per trip. So we have 3 alternatives here. The first is the no action alternative, and that would leave the 2 fish per person possession limit. Alternative 2, which is one of the Council's preferreds, would reduce the possession limit to 1 fish per person. And Alternative 3, which is also a Council preferred, would create a vessel limit for cobia. Now there are 3 sub-options under this alternative. The first sub-option, sub-option A, is a Council preferred, and that would create a 2 cobia per vessel limit. And the Council can also consider a 4 cobia per vessel or a 6 cobia per vessel limit. And this table just shows the expected % reduction in fishing mortality that would result from any combination of the alternatives in Action 2. So the Council would like to hear your feedback on the proposed changes in this document before taking final action in October. You can send us your thoughts either by following this link and sending us an online comment through our online comment form, or you can simply email us at golfcouncil@golfcouncil.org. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video and send us your thoughts.